In the boundless void of space where stars are born and die in silence, an ancient relic drifts aimlessly through the cosmic ocean. It is an escape pod, its hull scarred by the ravages of time and the brutal skirmishes of a war long forgotten. Inside, preserved in the cold embrace of stasis, lies Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, an ancient super soldier out of time, her fate intertwined with the mysteries of the universe. The pod's journey through the ages comes to an abrupt end when it crosses paths with the Xylocry, a race whose thirst for knowledge is matched only by their disregard for the sanctity of life. At the helm of their formidable research station stands Captain Zorvex, a being whose name is spoken in hushed tones across star systems. The discovery of the human escape pod is a moment of triumph for him, a rare artifact from the era of the Great War. As the Xylocry technicians secure the pod within the bowels of their space station, Zorvex gazes upon it with a mixture of curiosity and greed. Finally, the legends of humanity might yield their secrets to us. He muses aloud, his voice echoing in the sterile chamber. The technicians work diligently to breach the pod's ancient seals, their movements precise, their eyes alight with anticipation. The moment the hatch hisses open, revealing its human occupant, a collective gasp fills the room. Rodriguez lies there, untouched by time, her face a serene mask that belies the warrior spirit within. Zorvex steps closer, his eyes narrowing as he examines Rodriguez. "So, this is a human," he remarks, a hint of disdain in his voice. "Fragile. How did such creatures come to dominate the galaxy?" A technician, eager to impress, chimes in. "Perhaps we will find that their strength lies not in their flesh, but in their minds, Captain." "Or their hearts," another adds, only to earn a withering glance from Zorvex. "We shall see if there's any truth to that sentimental drivel," he retorts. Rodriguez is carefully extracted from the pod and transported to the research facility. As she is placed into the examination chamber, the stasis field begins to dissipate, heralding the end of her long slumber. The first to meet her gaze as her eyes flutter open is Dr. Phelan, a Xylocry scientist of some renown. "Welcome back to the living, Lieutenant Rodriguez," Phelan says, a wry smile playing on his lips. "You have been asleep for a very long time." Rodriguez's response is a groan, her body racked with the discomfort of reanimation. "Where am I?" she manages to whisper, her voice hoarse. "You are among the stars, Lieutenant," Phelan replies, his tone softening. "Far from home, but not forgotten." Zorvex, who had been watching from the shadows, steps forward. "Your home is a memory, human. You belong to us now." Rodriguez's eyes narrow as she takes in her surroundings, her mind racing to catch up with her predicament. Despite her confusion, a spark of defiance ignites within her. "Humans don't belong to anyone," she retorts, her voice gaining strength. A murmur of amusement ripples through the Xylocry observers. Zorvex, however, does not share their mirth. "We shall see about that, Lieutenant," he says. As the last vestiges of stasis fog cling to her consciousness, Maya Rodriguez finds herself in the grip of a reality far removed from the battlefields of her past. The chamber around her buzzes with the sterile, cold precision of alien technology, a stark contrast to the chaos of war she remembers. Her senses sharpen, honed by years of combat, immediately taking in the array of instruments and the alien figures that loom over her. Dr. Phelan, observing her, notes the quick flicker of awareness in her eyes. "Remarkable," he mutters, almost to himself, as he watches her resilience manifest. No mere creature withstands the ravages of time and space with such defiance. Rodriguez, still grappling with the weight of her eyelids, locks onto Phelan's figure. "Where am I?" she repeats, her voice stronger now, a testament to her rapidly returning strength. "You're aboard our station, Lieutenant. A guest, of sorts," Phelan replies, his voice laced with a curiosity that bordered on respect. "A prisoner, you mean?" Rodriguez counters swiftly, her mind clearing with each passing second. Across the room, a technician chuckles, earning a sharp glance from Rodriguez. "She's got spirit, this one," he comments, unable to mask his admiration. Phelan, ignoring the exchange, continues. "Your survival is of great interest to us, Lieutenant Rodriguez. Humanity's resilience is perplexing." Rodriguez sits up, her movement still sluggish but gaining fluidity. Humanity doesn't give up easily, she states, her gaze unwavering. Especially not me. The room falls silent, the Xylocry staff exchanging uneasy glances. It was clear that the human before them was not just a relic of the past, but a living embodiment of the resilience and tenacity that had made her species legendary. As Rodriguez's strength returns, so does her awareness of her predicament. Surrounded by beings that viewed her as little more than a specimen, she understood the gravity of her situation. Yet, fear was a luxury she could not afford, not when the legacy of humanity rested on her shoulders. Phelan, sensing her resolve, nods slightly. Your determination is commendable, Lieutenant. But it is also troubling. You are alone, far from any who could aid you. Rodriguez smirks, a glint of defiance in her eyes. I'm never alone. I carry the spirit of humanity within me. And trust me, that's more than enough. The exchange is interrupted by the arrival of Captain Zorvex, his presence commanding silence. How quaint. The human speaks of spirit, he observes, his tone dripping with disdain. But spirit will not save you here. Rodriguez meets his gaze, her posture straightening. It saved me before, and it'll do so again. Zorvex studies her for a moment longer before turning to leave, his parting words hanging in the air. We shall see, Lieutenant Rodriguez. We shall see. As the door slides shut behind him, Rodriguez takes a deep breath, steeling herself for what was to come. The laboratory of the Xylocry Research Station, a nexus of alien science and ambition, becomes the crucible in which Maya Rodriguez is tested. Here, amid the cold gleam of instruments and the hum of advanced machinery, the depths of human potential are plumbed by curious, if not ethically dubious, minds. As days meld into one another, Maya is subjected to a barrage of tests. The Xylocry, with their advanced technology, probe the limits of her physical endurance, her mental acuity, and the mysterious wellspring of resilience that seems to define her very being. Yet, with each experiment, Maya's innate human ingenuity and adaptability begin to shine, turning the tables on her captors in small but significant ways. During a particularly grueling test designed to measure her cognitive flexibility under stress, Maya astounds her observers by not only completing the task, but by devising a more efficient method to do so on the fly. Dr. Phelan, overseeing the test, can't hide his admiration. Ingenious, he concedes, jotting down notes with a frenzied pace. Your ability to adapt and overcome is unprecedented. Rodriguez, catching her breath, shoots back with a weary smile. Necessity is the mother of invention. You guys should try it sometime instead of relying on all this. She gestures at the surrounding tech. A technician, unable to suppress a snort of laughter, quickly turns it into a cough under Phelan's sharp glance. Indeed, Lieutenant. Phelan responds, the hint of a smile tugging at his lips. Your resourcefulness is duly noted. It's not just her mental acuity that baffles the Xylocry, but her physical resilience as well. In tests meant to push her to her limits, Maya demonstrates not only exceptional strength and stamina, but an uncanny ability to recover from injuries at a rate that perplexes her captors. Your healing capabilities are beyond our models, Phelan remarks during a session, observing the rapid closure of a superficial wound. Yeah, well, we humans get a lot of practice, Maya quips, examining the now-healed skin with a mixture of pain and pride. You learn to bounce back fast. But it's in the quiet moments, when the tests are done and she's left alone in her containment cell, that Maya's true strength emerges. It's there, in the solitude, that she plots her escape, her mind always working, always seeking a way out. She studies the routines of her captors, memorizes the layout of the lab from glimpses caught during her transfer from one test to another, and begins to fashion makeshift tools from whatever is left within her reach. One evening, as Phelan visits her cell under the pretense of delivering her meal, he finds her sitting cross-legged on the floor, her demeanor calm, almost meditative. You seem quite at peace, Lieutenant, given your circumstances, he comments, setting the tray down. Rodriguez looks up, her eyes sharp, her will unbroken. Being at peace isn't about the absence of conflict, she says, her voice steady. It's about being prepared for it. And trust me, I'm always prepared. Felon studies her for a moment, struck by the depth of her resolve. I believe you are, Lieutenant. I truly do. He leaves the cell, the door sliding shut with a hiss, leaving Maya to her thoughts. In the dim light of her cell, Maya Rodriguez sat in contemplation, the gears of her mind turning with the precision of a well-oiled machine. Her time among the Xylocri, though fraught with challenge, had offered her something invaluable: insight. She had learned their patterns, understood their hubris, and now she was ready to exploit it. Her plan was a tapestry of observation and improvisation, woven from the threads of her captors' predictable routines and the subtle weaknesses she had spotted in their security. It required timing, precision, and a bit of the unexpected, qualities that humanity had honed over millennia of survival. As the hour of her plan drew near, Rodriguez began her preparations. She had fashioned a rudimentary tool from a piece of metal she had managed to conceal after one of her physical resilience tests. It was crude but effective, embodying the essence of human ingenuity, making the most of what little you have. The first step was to escape her cell during the brief window when the guards changed shifts. The Xylocri, for all their advanced technology, were creatures of habit, and their arrogance blinded them to the possibility of a human outsmarting them. Rodriguez watched from the corner of her eye as the guard outside her cell glanced at his timepiece, signaling the impending shift change. She tensed, ready to act. As the door slid open for her evening meal delivery, a task beneath the notice of the higher-ranking Xylocri, she made her move. With a swift motion, she used her makeshift tool to jam the cell door mechanism, preventing it from closing. The guard, a low-ranking technician unaccustomed to direct confrontation, barely had time to register her action before Rodriguez was upon him. A swift strike killed him instantly. "Don't take it personally," she whispered, as she stepped over him, her voice a blend of apology and determination. "Survival's in my blood." The corridor outside her cell was dimly lit, the lights pulsing with a rhythm that matched the station's heartbeat. Rodriguez moved with purpose, her every step silent, her senses on high alert. Her next objective was the control room. She had gleaned its location from overheard conversations and a map displayed during one of her tests. It was the nerve center of the station, and if she could reach it, she could manipulate the station's systems to her advantage. As she navigated the maze-like corridors, she encountered a pair of Xylocri scientists, deep in conversation about an experiment. They barely had time to register her presence before she was upon them. Her hands moving with practiced efficiency, their necks snapped in an instant. "Sorry, gentlemen," Rodriguez said, stepping past their slumped forms. "Science project's on hold." Reaching the control room, she found it guarded by two of Zorvex's elite soldiers. Rodriguez knew that a direct confrontation was out of the question. She needed to outthink them. Retreating into the shadows, she observed their movements, waiting for an opening. It came in the form of a routine inspection, a moment when one guard stepped away, leaving the other momentarily isolated. Rodriguez used the opportunity to create a diversion, knocking loose a panel down the corridor with a well-aimed throw of her makeshift tool. As the remaining guard stepped away to investigate, she slipped into the control room, her heart racing. Inside, she was met with a bank of controls, a dizzying array of alien technology. But Rodriguez was undaunted. She had watched the technicians during her captivity, memorizing sequences and commands. With a few deft inputs, she initiated a sequence that unlocked the station's docking bays and sent a false security alert to the opposite end of the station. It was a gamble, but if the Xylocri were as predictable as she believed, it would draw the majority of the security forces away, leaving her path to an escape craft clear. Rodriguez couldn't help but smile as she saw her plan unfold on the monitors before her. "Never underestimate a human," she murmured, her voice a mix of triumph and resolve. Her escape was more than a personal victory. It was a declaration, a proof of human resilience and ingenuity. As she made her way to the docking bay, Rodriguez knew that her actions would send ripples through the galaxy. The corridors of the Xylocri research station hummed with tension, an orchestrated chaos ensuing as Maya enacted her plan. The false security alert she had triggered was a masterstroke, drawing the station's defenders away from her path to freedom. Yet even with the odds tipped in her favor, the escape was far from assured. The Xylocri were not to be underestimated, their technological prowess a constant threat. Rodriguez moved with a predator's grace, her every step a testament to years of combat training. Her mind raced, plotting and replotting her route always 3 steps ahead. The path to the docking bay was a labyrinth, but to her, it was just another puzzle to solve, a challenge to overcome. As she rounded a corner, she found herself face to face with a pair of Xylocree guards, their sleek armor gleaming ominously in the low light. They were young, inexperienced, their postures betraying a hint of uncertainty. Rodriguez didn't hesitate. With a fluid motion born of necessity, she disarmed the first guard, using his own weapon to kill his companion. Again. Nothing personal? She quipped, her voice a mix of apology and resolve as she dragged their corpses out of sight. Just need to borrow this. She gestured at the stolen weapon, a sleek piece of alien engineering now at her disposal. However, it felt like a toy versus the weapons she was accustomed to. Continuing her advance, Rodriguez relied on her training to navigate the remaining obstacles. She encountered automated defense systems, their deadly precision a formidable barrier. Yet, where the Xylocree saw technology as an invincible shield, Rodriguez saw opportunity. Her approach to the docking bay was a study in stealth and strategy. The bay was lightly guarded, most of its defenders drawn away by the diversion she had created. Those few who remained were quickly and efficiently taken out. Inside the docking bay, rows of sleek alien ships awaited, their designs foreign, yet oddly intuitive. Rodriguez's gaze settled on a small, nimble craft, its lines suggesting speed and agility. It was perfect for her needs. As she approached the craft, a voice crackled over the station's intercom. "Lieutenant Rodriguez!" came the cold, unmistakable tone of Captain Zorvex. "Your efforts are futile. Surrender, and your end will be swift." Rodriguez paused, her hand on the hatch of the escape craft. She turned to face the nearest security camera, a defiant smile playing on her lips. "You know, I was hoping you'd say that," she replied, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "It means I've got you exactly where I want you." With a swift motion, she sealed the hatch behind her and initiated the launch sequence. The craft hummed to life, its engines a low growl that promised escape. Rodriguez's fingers danced over the controls, a quick study of the alien interface. As the ship broke free of the station's gravity, she couldn't resist one last jab. "Tell your guards thanks for the workout," she transmitted, her voice a beacon of defiance. "I needed a good stretch." The escape craft shot into the vastness of space, leaving the Xylocree research station and its bewildered inhabitants behind. She now was a vanguard of humanity, a lone warrior proving that even in the darkest corners of the galaxy, the human spirit could not be quelled. In the vast, uncharted reaches of space, Maya Rodriguez's escape craft cut a solitary figure against the backdrop of stars. But freedom was more than the absence of physical constraints. It was the opportunity to fight back, to turn the hunter into the hunted. And so, with the cold precision of a seasoned guerrilla fighter, Rodriguez set her sights on the Xylocree, her former captors, now her prey. The Xylocree research station, a hub of alien technology and scientific ambition, had become a symbol of Rodriguez's imprisonment, a monument to her resilience. It was there she chose to strike first, employing hit-and-run tactics that sowed confusion and fear among its inhabitants. Utilizing the stolen Xylocree ship's advanced cloaking technology, Rodriguez managed to slip back into the station's vicinity, undetected. Then, like a shadow, she infiltrated the outer decks, planting the charges that she found on her many excursions into the station, with timers set to the erratic rhythm of chaos. Each explosion was a message, a declaration that the legend of humanity was far from a myth, and it walked among them, vengeful and indomitable. Her attacks were not random. Each target was chosen for its strategic value, its ability to cripple but not destroy, to demoralize but not annihilate. Rodriguez was not a butcher. She was a warrior. In the aftermath of each strike, as the Xylocree scrambled to respond to the unseen threat, Rodriguez's presence became as palpable as the vacuum of space itself. Whispers of a ghost, a specter of vengeance, began to circulate among the crew, their once unshakable confidence shaken to its core. "Did you hear that?" one jittery technician asked his companion as they patrolled a dimly lit corridor, the silence echoing with the ghosts of Rodriguez's exploits. "It's just the station settling," his companion replied. though his voice betrayed a hint of doubt. But Rodriguez was no mere ghost. She was flesh and blood, a fact she made sure to remind them of during her next assault. Striking at the heart of the station's communication array, she left a simple, powerful message scrawled in the common tongue of the galaxy: humanity endures. Her actions, while daring, were not without purpose. Each maneuver was designed to fracture the morale of the Xylocri, to demonstrate the superiority of human strategy and resolve. And it worked. The once orderly ranks of the Xylocri were now riddled with doubt, their movements hesitant, their orders questioned. As Rodriguez watched from the shadows, a small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. The Xylocri had underestimated humanity, had seen them as relics of a bygone era, easy prey for their scientific curiosity. But Rodriguez was proving with each calculated strike that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. Her guerrilla war, fought from the shadows, was a testament to the ingenuity and adaptability of humans. It was a reminder that, even when faced with the vastness of space and the might of alien empires, a single human with the courage to fight could change the course of history. As she prepared for her next move, Rodriguez knew that her battle was far from over. But with each victory, no matter how small, she was writing a new chapter in the saga of humanity, a chapter where humans were not mere survivors but warriors, capable of facing the darkness and emerging victorious. Amid the chaos of her guerrilla campaign, Maya Rodriguez found herself diving deeper into the heart of the Xylocri research station. Each strike, each maneuver against her alien adversaries, peeled back layers of their once impenetrable security, revealing the station's vulnerabilities like cracks in a dam. Rodriguez, ever the opportunist, leveraged these weaknesses, her human ingenuity lighting the way through the dark corridors of alien territory. One such vulnerability was the station's reliance on a centralized power grid, a critical system that, if compromised, could cripple the Xylocri's operational capabilities. With the precision of a chess master moving her pieces into place, Rodriguez laid her plans to exploit this flaw, turning the station's own design against its inhabitants. Her strategy was simple, yet bold. Infiltrate the main power control room and reroute the energy flow, creating a blackout in key sectors of the station. This would not only sow further confusion, but also hamper the Xylocri's ability to mount a coordinated defense against her. Under the cover of artificial night, Rodriguez moved. The darkness was an old friend, a companion of her days in the trenches of distant, forgotten worlds. She navigated the maze-like structure of the station with ease, her path illuminated by the soft glow of her makeshift tools and the fire of determination in her heart. As she approached the power control room, she encountered a squad of guards. Security must have been upgraded, she thought, their forms silhouetted against the faint light seeping from under the door. Rodriguez paused, a plan forming in her mind. Rather than confront them directly, she opted for deception, a tactic as old as warfare itself. Using a fragment of metal, she created a series of noises, mimicking the sound of malfunctioning equipment. As the guards moved to investigate, Rodriguez slipped past them, a ghost in the machinery. Inside the control room, she found herself face to face with the heart of the station's power system, its panels alive with alien script and pulsing lights. With a deep breath, she set to work, her fingers dancing over the controls with the confidence of one who had faced down death and emerged unscathed. Her efforts were met with immediate success. One by one, the lights in the station's critical sectors flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Then she destroyed all the control panels so they couldn't quickly reverse what she did. Rodriguez couldn't help but smile at the irony of it all. The Xylocri, with all their advanced technology, brought low by a single human exploiting a basic flaw in their infrastructure. As she made her escape from the control room, Rodriguez could hear the chaos erupting throughout the station. Alarms blared, voices shouted in confusion, and the sound of scrambling feet filled the air. The tide was turning, and it was all thanks to human ingenuity and the ability to find opportunity in adversity. Yet, even as she celebrated her small victory, Rodriguez knew that her battle was far from over. The Xylocri were a formidable enemy, and they would not take kindly to being outwitted by a human. But for now, she reveled in the knowledge that she had struck a significant blow, one that would echo through the corridors of the station for a long time. Now, with the Xylocri research station crippled and in chaos wrought by her guerrilla warfare, Maya prepared for her ultimate challenge, a confrontation with Captain Zorvex. Zorvex, the mastermind behind the station's scientific endeavors, had viewed the human as little more than a curiosity, her physical and mental capacities mere data points to be catalogued and analyzed. But Rodriguez, with her relentless spirit and tactical brilliance, had shattered that perception. As Rodriguez made her way to the central command hub, where Zorvex awaited, she could not help but reflect on the journey that had led her to this moment. Each step through the dimly lit corridors was a step closer to reclaiming her freedom, to proving that humanity's spirit could not be contained by walls, nor could it be quantified by alien intellect. The command hub, a vast chamber dominated by a panoramic view of the stars beyond, was eerily silent as she entered. Zorvex stood at the far end, his imposing figure framed against the backdrop of space, the weight of his gaze fixed upon her. "So the human has come," Zorvex's voice echoed in the chamber, a mixture of admiration and disdain. "You have caused quite the disruption, Lieutenant Rodriguez. A commendable effort for a species deemed extinct." Rodriguez met his gaze, her posture unyielding. "We're full of surprises," she replied, her voice steady. "You think you know us, but you've only scratched the surface." Zorvex, unfazed, activated a console, bringing to life the room's advanced defense systems. "Your tenacity is admirable, but ultimately futile. This station, this technology, it is beyond your understanding." With a defiant smirk, Rodriguez countered, "Maybe, but understanding isn't always necessary. Sometimes you just need to find the off switch." The ensuing battle was a clash of wits and wills. Zorvex unleashed the full might of the station's defenses, automated turrets and drones designed to neutralize any threat. Yet, for every machine that sought to end her, Rodriguez found a counter, exploiting blind spots and weaknesses with the precision of a seasoned warrior. As the last of the drones clattered to the ground, disabled by her cunning, Zorvex was left with no choice but to confront her directly. The alien captain, for all his reliance on technology, was not without his own combat prowess. Yet, as they faced off, it was clear that the battle was not just physical. It was a battle of ideologies, of human spirit against alien cold logic. The duel was intense, each exchange a blur of motion and strategy. Rodriguez, however, wielded more than just her training. She fought with the weight of humanity's legacy behind her, each strike fueled by the collective hope and resilience of her species. In the end, it was Rodriguez who stood victorious, Zorvex at her mercy. The alien captain defeated could only stare in disbelief as the human before him dismantled the control console, effectively neutralizing the station's threat. "You may have technology," Rodriguez said, her voice echoing in the now silent chamber. "But we have something you'll never understand. We have heart, and we never give up. That's what makes us human." As she turned her back on Zorvex, leaving him alive to contemplate his defeat, Rodriguez couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. With Captain Zorvex defeated and the station controls in ruins, Maya turned her attention to her final task aboard the Zolokri research station, ensuring that the facility could no longer be a bastion of fear and a source of suffering. Her plan was to sabotage the station's core systems, rendering the facility inoperable. It was a task fraught with danger, but Rodriguez was no stranger to adversity. As she set charges at critical junctures, each explosive device was a testament to the struggles she had faced, a physical manifestation of her resolve. "For every life you've taken in the name of science," she murmured to the silent corridors, "consider this recompense." With the station's doom quietly ticking away in the background, Rodriguez made her way to the docking bay, her previous stolen ship awaiting her return. As she powered up the ship, the station's alarms finally began to wail, a delayed realization of its impending fate. Rodriguez couldn't suppress a wry smile at the sound. "Better late than never," she quipped to the empty cockpit, her hands deftly navigating the unfamiliar controls. The ship responded with a thrum of alien technology coming to life, and one jury-rigged ancient stolen cryopod hauled on board beeping to life. It was ready to carry its new master to freedom. As she guided the ship out of the docking bay, the research station receding into the distance behind her, Rodriguez felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She had fought not just for her survival, but for the vindication of human dignity against those who would see them as mere subjects for experimentation. The sabotage of the station was her parting gift to the Zolokri, a reminder that humanity would not quietly endure the indignities of oppression. It was a declaration that the human spirit, with its capacity for resilience and its insatiable desire for freedom, was a force to be reckoned with. As the stolen ship pierced the veil of space, leaving the crippled station to its fate, Rodriguez set her sights on the vast expanse ahead. In the silence of space, with only the stars as her witness, Rodriguez made a solemn vow. She would carry the story of her struggle back to whatever remnants of humanity existed in the galaxy, a beacon of hope for all those who believed themselves forgotten. Years later, as the ship came out of hyperspace and the cryopod initiated its automated wake-up sequence, Maya finally got home, as the blue marble that was Earth came into view, a sight that stirred emotions deep within her. The planet, once ravaged by war and desolation, now shimmered with signs of life and reconstruction. As she entered Earth's atmosphere, the ship's communication system crackled to life, her unexpected arrival catching the attention of Earth's defense network. Unidentified vessel, you are entering restricted airspace. Identify yourself. The voice was firm, laced with authority yet unmistakably human. This is Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez returning home, she responded, her voice a mixture of pride and relief. There was a pause, a moment of disbelief, before the voice returned, softer now, tinged with awe. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the hero of the Great War? Your signal is being redirected to the Global Command. Stand by for clearance. Landing amidst the ruins of what once was a battlefield, Rodriguez stepped out of the alien craft, her gaze sweeping over the landscape. The world she had left behind had changed, evolved in her absence. She was met by a delegation, a mix of military and civilian leaders, their expressions ranging from incredulity to reverence. Lieutenant Rodriguez, your survival is nothing short of miraculous. The tales of your exploits have spread far and wide. One of the officials, a general, extended his hand in welcome. Rodriguez shook it, a smile touching her lips. Seems I've missed quite a bit, she remarked, her gaze taking in the advanced technology and the vibrancy of life around her. Her return was more than a homecoming. It was a catalyst, a spark that ignited the collective will of humanity to rise, to rebuild, and to reclaim their place in the stars.